Hello and welcome to a Sunday afternoon session of editing black and white photos. I am Darlene with Digital Photo Mentor, and I'm glad you are joining me this afternoon or evening, wherever you are joining from. I see we have lots of regulars, and it's good to see some people we haven't seen in a while joining us. Especially, I'm going to give a call out to Todd. We haven't seen you in a while, Todd. Good to see you. Charlene is here. Neil, hey Neil. Stan, nice to see you. David, oh, what time is it in? I guess it's a good time in the UK. Um, and Steph here in Edmonton. So we've got a bit of reprieve in our weather situation. So today we're going to be talking about black and white, and not just how to convert it and how to make it in the processing software, but the beginning stages. So what makes a good black and white photo actually starts in the camera. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what kind of scenes and what kind of images scream black and white to me. So I've made a little collection of a few of my images, and we can take a look at some that have been submitted for previous YouTube lives as well, and just kind of play a game of, would this look good in black and white or not? Okay, because I have because I've been doing this a really long time, I have a really good instinct as to, which things are going to make a good black and white, because my basis, my beginnings in photography was actually black and white film. Okay, so I have a really strong connection to black and white, and I love the contrast and how it simplifies the image down to tones, right? So for me, black and white works really well on images that have a lot of contrast, where the color isn't part of the story. So I'm gonna switch my screen over here, and first of all, before I do that, how is my sync today? Usually Kevin's here to tell me if I'm in sync, and I haven't seen him yet. Let's see. How's my sync today? Portugal. Hey Eric. Good to see you. Sync Rob. How's my sync? Is my lips in sync with my video? And there's a delay here from comments to me. So let's see. Fine. Oh, Todd says it's good. Okay, awesome. Bernie, brand new here. I'm glad you're here, Bernie. How did you find us? So if this is your first time here, please tell us how you found this stream. Were you just happening to cruise through YouTube and you found it? Did you see a Facebook post, or did you get my email? Sheila, good to see you as well. We haven't seen you in a while either. So yeah, good to see some folks that we haven't seen in a while. Okay, so I'm gonna change over here. Where are we here? There we go. Okay, so now let me just move my other screen here. All right. Now I'm in the bottom. All right, so I've got a few things together that I wanted to show you, not just conversion, like I said, but what makes a good black and white image, okay? So these images in the middle here are the ones to me that scream black and white, okay? So things like this that have a huge amount of contrast. So for me, black and white is about light, right? There's a lot of range in the image, right? We see a big contrast here, and I can show you the original images on some of these. I don't know why this one is not showing me black and white, but okay, so that's the color image. There's not a lot of color there. It's mostly all brown anyways. And for those of you that may recognize it, it's the Pantheon in Rome, and that circle in the ceiling where this beam of light comes through, right? And for me, it was all about this light, right? Let me just show you what the original looks like. Okay, so that's the original. There's a lot more detail in the background here, but when I converted it to black and white, I wanted the stark contrast, okay? So images like that scream black and white to me. Street photography is another one for me that really works well in black and white. Of course, this is Cuba. Okay, so Cuba, you have a number of different things working for this one to work in black and white. It's kind of got this grunge feel, the street, old rundown buildings, right? And I really love, again, the light. So the light and the contrast on him, and for me, makes a really great black and white. So when I see these things, I'm already thinking black and white when I took the picture. Okay. And he wasn't mad at me. I actually talked to him afterwards, and he was not mad at me taking his photo. Right. Likewise with these girls, okay, so we had some models. Again, I'm still all in Cuba here, right? But what I like about this one is I set them here to use the natural light. We're doing portraits here, and it was all about the contrast again for me, right? Now the color's off when I convert it back to color because it didn't matter. Okay, so the light here, all of the contrast of these beams and the colors, to me, it simplified it down into just tones, right? I wanted them to stand out more. Black and white portraits are really stunning when you have a lot of contrast like this. And of course, subject matter. So when you have subject matter that is like this, okay, this was in an old building, like a museum kind of thing. And when you have subject matter like this, again, for me, it screams black and white because, it's got the olden feel, right? The old subject matter. Nature, images like this make me think of Ansel Adams. So how many people know who Ansel Adams is, right? So Ansel Adams did a lot of nature photography. He was really critical in getting Yosemite formed as a national park, and he's got some images of aspen trees, like similar to like this, where it's just the trees, and it reminded me of Ansel Adams. So immediately when I saw this one, okay, I saw this image in black and white when I took it again. Okay, so I'm thinking black and white when I took the image. Okay, same thing with this one. Right, there's not a lot of color here. This is cherry blossoms, right? But the light colored blossoms against the dark spruce trees, for me, really makes it a beautiful black and white. So I'm looking for these things when I am photographing, right? Texture is another thing that works really well in black and white. Okay, so if I look at the original on this one, okay, would you see black and white when you look at this image? I did. Okay, so I saw the contrast, I saw the light and the texture. Okay, I'm just going to go through these kind of quickly because I want to get into the conversion and stuff, but I want you to start thinking about I don't know why Lightroom is doing that. I want you to start thinking about when you look at a scene, think about whether or not it would be great in black and white or color. And if you're not used to thinking in black and white, okay, so this is a different way of your brain looking at things and your eyes looking at things. Take your camera and make sure you're shooting raw, okay? If you're shooting raw, set your camera to monochrome mode. So it's like one of the camera profiles, okay? Just like you have in Lightroom and Luminar, your camera profiles. In your camera, set it to monochrome, and then you will get a black and white image showing up on the screen. But when you bring it into your software to edit, it will still be a raw file with all the color information. But by looking at the black and white images when you're photographing and seeing them come up on your camera screen, it will help you shift into thinking in black and white. Okay, so for me, there was almost no color in this scene anyways. Once again, it made a beautiful black and white. Okay, kind of street photos, again, contrast and lighting. There's a little bit of color here, but I much prefer this one in black and white. Okay? So architecture, crumbling things, old things where there isn't a lot of color to begin with, like these, okay, make great black and whites. But what about something like this? Okay, so this was taken in Tokyo recently. Geez, that last year already. That was 10 months ago. Well, it's recent, anyways. And even though the building is orange, okay, it's bright orange, I want to show you what I did with this one because I went back in the history here, because what I did was I did convert it to black and white. Oops, I got lost my history. I did convert this one to black and white because what I saw when I shot this scene was this spider pattern of light, okay, and the orange for me was taking away from that. Can you see that? So this image, like this, is about the orange building. Now it's about the light. Do you see the difference? Ansel Adams is great. Yes, he sure is. Well, he was. Europe has arrived. Germany, France, Holland. Awesome. Welcome. Morning in San Diego. Morning. Good morning. Captain Stan. Joanna from a cold Holland. Awesome. Okay, so I want to know, tell me in the chat, do you see the difference? Okay, so when we look at this image, okay, tell me whether or not you see the difference. This is about the orange building because the orange is so vibrant, okay, versus now it's about the light. And on this one, I would probably even punch up the contrast more, right? Let me just reset this curve. Okay, so I would punch up the contrast even more to bring the light out. Okay, so now I know for sure this is what I'm looking at. Okay, this light here. Right? Contrast and light. So that's what black and white is about. Okay, so think contrast and light. Contrast and light. What do you see here? Contrast and light. Right? Black and white portraits. Again, I love black and white portraits. This one is the color version, right? And I love how it focuses just on the face. I love black and white portraits like this because it gets rid of all the other stuff, right? I don't know why Lightroom is doing that. Okay, so I see portraits like this and I immediately think black and white because then it's about the person, okay? I also shoot infrared, black and white infrared. I have a camera that's converted, and I got it converted to the one that is the least amount of color because I wanted it to look like black and white infrared film from the day, okay? This was a photo shoot I did that was entirely designed for black and white in a Hollywood glamour style, okay? And I think I've achieved that with this one, right? So if I look at the original camera image, this is what it looks like, okay? When I imported it, and I shot it in black and white in the camera, but I did my conversion in Lightroom, okay? Like so. But I shot it this way with lots of contrast and lighting so that she is separated from the background, okay? So her hair and her arm are separated by this light, okay? So it's all about lighting and tone. Same photo shoot, okay? So without the lighting, he's not separated from the background, but for me the color does nothing here. It doesn't add anything to the scene. Okay, so think about going black and white when you have a scene that has high contrast, lots of texture, okay? The subject is well lit, and when color isn't part of the story. So let me show you a couple where color is part of the story, right? Here we're doing a sunset photo shoot. Color is absolutely part of this story. It doesn't make sense in black and white, okay? It makes a nice black and white, but we lost the sunset, okay? Likewise with these. So these colorful houses in Cuba, right? I like keeping the color because this is what Cuba is like, right? I would consider black and white on this one because the color is minimal, right? This one for me is also about the color. This one is about the color. I could make it black and white, but I love the different tones and how everything sort of went together with the blues and the greens, right? Likewise, where's my other cars? Trying to look for my street photos here. Likewise, this one. Let me make my thumbnails a little bigger. There we go. I can't see what I'm doing. Likewise with this one, which was taken in Chefchaouen in Morocco, it's the blue city. So I want to show the blue with these kids. Okay. So let me just put a couple of images up on the screen. Let me do, okay, let's do this. I'm going to pick a few here. I've just got some photos that I thought, we'll take a look at. That one's cheating. Okay. Of these photos, which ones or any of them do you think would make a good black and white? So I want to hear in the chat. This is number one. We'll go top to bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So indicate in the chat the numbers of the ones that you think would make a good black and white. Okay, and then we'll talk about it. So I'm just gonna kind of keep talking while you guys vote. Okay. Mm, mm, mm. Surge, changing the subject. Okay. Marlene said she preferred the black and white to the orange. That was on the Japanese image. Yep, me too. I have another one with some people walking past it where I left the orange. You saw it in a Facebook group. Awesome. Nigel from Trinidad. Jim says, great lesson. Thank you, Jim. We're just getting started. Mamie likes the contrast or the shadows. Absolutely. That's what I saw in that one. Todd likes the difference. Prefer the black and white. Marlene. Okay. So now let's see. Okay. So we're getting votes. Todd says number 1 and number 4. Mamie says number 2. Dave says number 3. David says number 2. Alan says 1 and 2. Jim says 1, 2, and 3. Eric says 1 and 2. So 1 definitely is getting lots of votes. Okay, so you guys are definitely on the right track. Marguerite, hey Marguerite, says 1 and 2. Sheila says 1 and 3. David Franco says 1 and 3. Rob says 2. Okay. So the ones here that I would go black and white on would be definitely 1 and 2. Okay, so if you said 1 and 2, I haven't made these in black and white, but because of the light, and I like the way you guys are thinking, okay, I probably wouldn't do number 4 in black and white, but 3 could work. Okay, so let's just take a look at all of these real quick and see how they work in black and white. So I'm just going to do a quick conversion. Okay, absolutely, this works in black and white. And I'm surprised that I've never actually converted this one before. Okay, so in Lightroom, the best way to convert is just changing to black and white here. And we'll talk about Luminar as well if you're using Luminar. Okay, next one, let's have a look at this one. Okay, absolutely. Okay, now you'll notice it's brown. Okay, why is it brown? Because what I did on this one was I had added some brown into the shadows because I felt that the shadows were too blue. So I end up with a sepia tone. If I don't want that, I can just remove that. Okay, but it absolutely makes a good black and white. I would probably add even more contrast. Okay, so don't be afraid of contrast. That's the number one thing when you're doing black and white. Okay, don't be afraid of it. Look for clipping warnings and things like that, but don't be afraid of contrast. Okay, now this guy, I've lowered the contrast on him and kind of given it like a lesser color, like I lowered the saturation, okay? So it's like a faded out look, okay? But let's see what happens when we go black and white. It needs a bit more contrast, and I would probably want to play with these sliders a little bit, right? Remember that when you do a before and after, you could see the color image, right? So if you're shooting color, so I might want to darken his vest here. Maybe let's darken the blues. Okay, leaving the orange brighter, that's his face, okay? And then let's play with the greens. Okay, so the green is affecting the back wall, right? So we really have control here. So I could darken this wall. Look at how much he stands out now, okay? So that is looking pretty good. So that does indeed make a good black and white, okay? This one, I could probably work with it and, you know, get the tones adjusted. But for me, the culture and the interesting part of this is that this is a recognizable church in Granada, Nicaragua, and it's the yellow church in the square, and everybody knows this yellow church. And for me, it was about the yellow church, the blue sky, and the yellow and red outfit. So it was like these primary colors coming together, right? So for me, this image is about color, right? I'm starting to see the logic behind, you know, what to pick, right? Stan says, when converting to black and white, do you prefer Lightroom or Luminar Neo? Honestly, Stan, they're exactly the same. Okay. Let me just hop over to Luminar. That will be a good transition. Okay. And I'm gonna do some conversions here. Right. It's exactly the same in Lightroom as it is in Luminar. Okay, so let's say, let's see, what do I want to convert black and white? Those of you doing my Luminar Neo course, you'll recognize these are the images that come with the course. Let's do this one actually. Okay, so before I do any black and white conversion, I always do basic processing and contrast adjustment first. Okay. I think I did some color harmony on this one because I was demonstrating something the other day. So on this one, I'm just going to give this a little bit more contrast here. And I dialed the color down. So let's do that. Let's give it a little bit of sharpness. Okay. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I did a bunch of things on here. Structure, vignette. Okay, so I did a massive color harmony. We'll just dial that back a little bit. This is what I was using to demonstrate. Yeah, that's too strong. Okay, so now it really doesn't matter what color these things are because when I convert it to black and white using the black and white tool, I'm going to use the sliders here to adjust the tones. Okay, so convert to black and white. There is an advantage in Lightroom that Luminar doesn't have, and that's a targeted adjustment tool. I'll show you that. I'll go back to Lightroom and show you that. Okay, so I have to kind of remember what colors were there. So I know the sky is obviously blue. So by grabbing any of the sliders, left darkens and right brightens. Okay, so if I want it more nighttime, I can darken. But keep in mind that there's other tones in the sky. Okay, is there purple? No. So I just try all the sliders. Okay, look, there's lots of cyan as well. So I think this one actually does a nicer job because blue goes a little too far. Okay, so I like the cyan darkening. There's no green. What do you think is going to happen when I pull the yellow sliders? Okay, that's all the light. So if I want those highlights on the buildings to stand out, definitely we need the yellow, right? There's probably some red in the buildings as well. See that? Okay, there's another advantage that Lightroom has over Luminar is you notice there's no orange slider here. Okay, so skin tones are usually fall into the orange range. So if you want to brighten the person's face, okay, you definitely want to adjust the orange. But there's a little trick in Luminar. You can adjust your colors first and then make sure that the face is more red or yellow, and then when you pull the sliders, it will adjust the face. Right. So here's our black and white conversion. Okay, from here I would probably do a develop again and maybe even a curve just to make sure that I have some decent black and white. Okay, now the highlights are clipping, so I'm not worried about that. I'm just going until I start to get clipping over there. Okay, so it's punching up the highlights a little bit and stop right there. Okay, so with black and white, you want to have some clipping in the black area. So over here in the shadows. And in terms of clipping highlights, I'm not worried about the light sources, okay? And a little bit on here, I can bring the highlights down a bit. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have white and you have black. So you want to push to the edge of where you start to get clipping and then just dial it back. So you want to touch the edge of the white clipping area, okay? So let me just see what that's doing. Okay, see how that's giving it an added contrast again. And I could also either add an S curve or let's just try some additional smart contrast. Okay, that actually does a pretty nice job. Okay, so notice the difference, right? So just giving it a little bit more punch. So the sliders help to give you the contrast, right? And then we add develop to add some more punch. Okay, the other thing we could do is, I'm just going to undo these for a moment. Let's just take these off because I want to show you something else. Okay, so the trick of doing your color adjustments first, okay, so that color harmony tool that I removed, right, color harmony works really well on opposite colors. So yellow and blue are opposite, and what I can do is add contrast between them. Okay, so increasing this brightens yellow and darkens blue. Okay, doesn't matter that it's oversaturated, doesn't matter that the yellow is, looking a little bit garish, because we're going to make it black and white anyways, right? So by doing this, I'm adding the contrast in ahead of time, increasing the yellow, right? Building it in here. Now watch what happens, okay, when I go to black and white. Okay, so now when I do a black and white conversion and I do yellow and blue, okay, we've got a lot more to work with. So the contrast started with the color harmony. So inherently, it's already got more contrast here. Okay, so use the color tools to add contrast first and then convert to your black and white. Okay, let me hop back over to Lightroom. Let me see if there's any questions here before that. Okay, what was Stan's question? Oh, that's the question I'm answering now. Steph said, a great tip using the color sliders based on the color of the original. Thanks, Steph. Bernie is enjoying this lesson. Thank you. All information I've never seen presented like this. I'll be watching several times. Well, thanks, Bernie. And keep in mind that if this is your first time here, we do this every 2 weeks on our YouTube channel. We missed last week because it was the first week of the year and we gave everybody the week off. But we'll be back next week and I'm going to be doing layers. Okay, so layers in Luminar. And we have tons of recordings in our YouTube channel going back years, and you can find all kinds of great topics. Let's see. All right. So good lesson there. Let's hop back over to Lightroom. Okay, so we looked at a few different ones here and did some conversions. Now I want to come back up to do a conversion here in Lightroom, and I want to show you a couple of different things. Okay, so this one works really well for demonstration because it's got lots of different colors. Okay, so here's the color version, and I've just made a couple of virtual copies. Okay, because I want to show you why you want to use the black and white conversion. It used to be a panel. Okay, now it's up here in Lightroom. Versus just desaturation. Okay, so I'm going to do desaturation on this one. And then on this virtual copy, I'm going to do black and white and then go to the black and white tool. Now this is where I said that Lightroom has a slight advantage because it has this thing here. It's called a targeted adjustment tool. Okay, you can see when I hover over this, let me see if I can make it bigger. Oh, that's interesting. There, this little tool right here. Okay, so see when I hover over that, it gives me this little arrow thing here. Okay, and when you click it, you get this little crosshairs and a cursor here. So whatever tone is underneath where I'm going to click, I can click and drag up and down. It's going to affect these sliders. Okay, so we know the sky is blue, right? Watch the sliders. So I'm clicking here, dragging down. See the slider moving? Right? Cyan moved a little bit as well, right? Now, what's slider's going to work here? Do you remember what color the church was? Okay, so this one, I can darken, look at, or lighten. I actually might darken it just a little bit, okay? This one, notice the edge of the church, it's a little bit green. I fixed the tilt, as you can see. Okay, so this one, I'm going to increase. See which sliders are moving? Yellow and green. Okay. I can also just affect the sliders this way. So red darkens the top of the church and the bottom of the other building. So I like darkening there. I want to brighten this one, and I don't know what color it is, but oh, it's blue. Okay, so I don't want to that's the only disadvantage of this tool, okay, is I cannot adjust the tones separately in different areas, okay? Because it's a global adjustment, okay? So I want to darken the sky, but I don't want to darken this building so much. So I'm going to find a happy medium, okay? So I'm kind of happy with that. I don't want the church to be too dark, but I want there to be some contrast between the edges and the middle, because they're not, this is white, but then this is darker, okay? So now let's compare these two versions. Okay, so let me just switch it here. On the left, we have the just desaturated image. On the right, we have the one where I was able to control the tones, right? We can't do anything with this one, okay? I can't make the sky darker. I have to start masking and do a sky mask, okay? If I wanted to darken the buildings or the church, I'd have to do a mask as well, okay? So we have a lot more control in the black and white tool. Oops. We have a lot more control when we use this tool, because I could go completely the opposite direction. I could brighten the sky and darken the buildings, right? And get a completely different look, right? Now when I compare the two, this is the black and white one, this is desaturated. So it just gives you control of how your tones come out. I did another example with this image here, okay? So this is the color image, right? This is one version that I did using the black and white tool. Oops. And here's the other one. Okay, so this one was just desaturated, right? So you can see the difference. There's the image. This one is just desaturated. Look at this. Look at the line between the sand and the sky here. Because in black and white, orange and blue kind of come out the same when you just take away the color, the actual tone of them, right? Versus when we do the black and white conversion and use the black and white tool. There we go. It still says color mixer. I don't know why it says color mixer. It should say black and white. Right? When we use the black and white tool, right? Look at the difference. So this is what it comes out with as the default. And this is how I've adjusted it to make more contrast. So brightening the orange and yellow and darkening the blue. Okay, we could take it even farther. Okay, so big difference between those two, right? This one looks flat. This one has contrast, okay? So don't be afraid to push things, right? I even pushed up the brightness of the sand and increased the contrast to get the shadows, okay? Let's take a look at this one, because I talked about when we turned into black and white of the little boy and it accidentally went into a sepia tone, okay? So you can make a toned image. Okay, where are we here? Okay, so this is the pure black and white. Okay, this is pure black and white. This one has color grading. Okay, so to make a tone, you can make what's called a duotone or a sepia tone or even a tritone in Lightroom. Okay, by adding, I'm just going to reset this one, using the color grading tool. I'll do the same thing in Luminar as well. Okay. So if you want to make sepia, you want to use color grading, go to the shadows, and then you want to get a color somewhere over here in the yellow-orange range, okay? Then just drag the saturation up. So I usually take my saturation quite high because it helps me see the color. For me, sepia tone is a little bit towards green, so I like sort of that tone. If you want more of what I call a chocolate brown, keep it more orange. Okay, then dial it back down to the level that you want. Okay, so if you want just sort of that warm black and white, so I call this a warm black and white. Okay, so it's not, can you see it's very subtle? That's pure black and white. That's warm. Okay, so it's really subtle. I'll dial it up just a bit more so you can see it. And it reminds me of dark chocolate. Okay, so I call that like a warm brown. Okay, chocolate brown. and that is with orange, okay? If you want more of a sepia look, I'll go a little bit more yellow, okay? About like that. So back in the day, actual toning was done in the darkroom, okay? A selenium tone would be more around like this tone, so kind of a burgundy, okay? You can also make a blue tone, okay? So you could do any shade around the circle, okay? I like to use the individual as opposed to doing this one because I can control the sliders, or I can pick it on the circle, okay? So I can just literally pick spot on the circle, and you see the sliders move based on where I'm clicking, okay? So that's all it's doing. Saturation moves the inside one, okay? Hue moves the outside one. Okay? You can make what's called a duotone with two colors, okay? So I like a blue yellow duotone, so let's make a blue. So I'm going to put blue in the shadows, okay? Then I'm going to go to the highlights and put yellow. So I'm going to go over here to yellow and then just add a little bit of saturation, okay? Can you see how it's got this blue and yellow split, okay? Another one that I like is burgundy in the shadows. So kind of a red tone with yellow in the highlights, right? For me, that's kind of an antique-y. It feels very antique, like a cherry wood kind of thing. Apparently, I'm on a wood kick today. Chocolate and wood. I think I need some chocolate, okay? Like so. The other trick I want to show you is if you want to make, you can also add color into the midtones, but I usually don't. I'm not a fan of sort of tritone, but you can if you want. So if I wanted more of an orange in the midtones, I can do that as well. So now I've kind of got this tritone, okay, which is kind of neat. So now it's actually kind of coming back to, you know, almost what it looks like in color, but you control it, okay? We do not have the midtone one in Luminar, okay? One other trick I want to show you before I leave this image is, I think I've actually done that in here. Yeah, I did. Okay, is how to make a matte black. Okay, so let me just add lots of black here so you can see, right? Let's just see. Okay, so we've got lots of clipping in the black area. And of course, this is clipping because it's bright white outside. But what I want to show you is to make a matte black and white. Okay, so there's no matte tool in Lightroom, or is there? Okay, so how you make a matte black is you go to the tone curve, make sure you're on gray. Rob, can you please share a video for the curves lesson that I did in Lightroom in YouTube earlier? Thank you so much, Bernie. I'm really glad you joined today. I'm glad you're getting a lot out of this. Okay, so in your curves tool, to make a matte black and white or a matte anything, you just drag this slider up, okay? Now I've done the background on my Lightroom as black on purpose so that you can see the difference, okay? See how right now it blends? Look at, you can't see the edge of the image because it's black on black. But when I bring this up, okay, what this is essentially doing is it's saying, okay, I'm pulling away from the edge and making this dark gray. So black is now not black anymore. It's dark gray, okay? And this is kind of, it's just another way of doing black and white. It gives it a softer look, okay? If you want to soften the highlights and make it even less contrasty, you can do that as well, okay? So now you have like a softer version, okay? So let's do those same things in Luminar. Okay, so let's say we want to do toning on this one, okay? So the tool that you use to do that is, where are we? Literally called toning, okay? And as I said, we only have shadows and highlights in Luminar, but I personally don't use the midtones a lot, okay? Now we have the same idea. We don't have a circle to pick the color, but we have the slider, okay? So I add the saturation, get the color we want, okay? There's the warm brown, okay? Warm brown. I kind of like this one as blue because it's nighttime, so we can pick a blue. You have to kind of dial the saturation up a lot more on blue. It doesn't really show up until you bring it higher, right? But now we have this nighttime blue tone. Let's add some yellow to the highlights. Okay, so again, I take the saturation up high until I get the color that I want, because I can't see it, right? I want to be able to see it. See that? Okay, there's the yellow right there. So now we've got yellow and blue. You can also increase the amount to intensify it. Okay? And you can shift the balance as well. Okay, you can do this in Luminar and Lightroom as well. So to the left is balanced towards the shadow color more, and to the right balances towards the highlight color more. So see, now we get more yellow this way, more blue this way. Okay, so there's our split tone. Okay, so I quite like that one. Now let's turn that one into a matte color. Okay, now there is a tool in Luminar called matte, and you can use this one, but I actually don't use it very often. I literally just use the curve. Okay, but this one increases the fade. Okay, so you can see the same thing happens here. Okay, so the more you increase it, coming away from the edge of the histogram, and we have that matte black. Okay. It also allows you to add toning here, okay? So you could actually do your toning all in the matte tool, okay? If you just want color in the shadows, okay, we can add blue here, okay? But I usually do mine separately. Ooh, that was kind of interesting, wasn't it? When I was over on the red, that was kind of interesting. That's kind of cool, actually. I don't know what's happening there, but I got some interesting color in the sky. So you can use the matte tool, okay, or you can use develop, which also has curves, right, and just bring this up. I like curves for doing this because I have more control of it, like so. And while I'm here, I can also adjust the other things, right? So I can still add an S curve while bringing this up. Okay, so the higher you go, the lighter the black tones. See it coming away from the edge? You see the histogram moving here, and you see it moving up here. Okay, so there is a matte black. Okay, so before, after, creating our matte black. Okay. Let's see. Question. How to use curves. Nigel says, great lesson. I'm getting into black and white. Was having problem picking the right images to convert. Great segue, Nigel. I'm going to come back to Lightroom and talk a little bit more about that. Okay. So again, the images that I've chosen, you could see just looking at them, they have a lot of contrast. Okay. So would you automatically think black and white when you see an image like this? Okay. Maybe not. But again, I think differently because of my background. So I immediately thought of black and white for this one. However, I'm going to work on it in color first to get the contrast. I'm going to use all the tools that I use. So I do shift double click on the whites and the blacks. So you hold your mouse over the word and hold the shift key down and then double click. And what that does is it puts your endpoints at the end of the graph. So white is touching. Okay, let me just undo both of those. Okay, look at the graph. It's flat. Okay, so black and white needs contrast. I know that I want to do this, but I don't want to do this. Okay, because look what happens. Watch the histogram. It's adding mid-tone contrast, but I still don't have any white. Okay, so by adjusting either the curve, I can do that there as well, or these two little clicks here. See how it popped that over to the right? Okay. Then I might bring the highlights down a little bit or overall exposure. Now look at what a balanced histogram I have from top to bottom. Okay. I might even take this up a little higher. So I go until I have clipping and I'm holding down the option key, Alt Option. Okay. I'm pushing the limits. Okay. I also push black. So there is clipping. And we'll give it a little bit of clarity. Okay. So now we've got a lot more punch right out of the gate. Now I'm going to go to black and white. Okay. I could go here into the black and white sliders. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of difference between yellow and green, but let's have a look, okay? Because I want these leaves to stand out and the grasses to darken. Aha, there is. Okay, so perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for, okay? So I don't want them to be too white, right? But I want contrast difference like that, okay? So what I saw here was these leaves standing out and not these ones. Now these ones in the background are kind of problematic. So I'm going to use a mask and see what it thinks is the background. Everything. That's not helpful. Right? Let's try landscape. I think it's going to come out as foliage as well. Yeah, see everything. Okay, so these automated masks are not going to help me. I'm going to do a linear gradient up to here. Okay. And then what I might do is just do subtract object. Okay, because I don't want these leaves selected. And subtract object. Like so. Okay, so now I got one in the background here. Now I can bring these highlights down and darken the background over here. Like so. I would also add a vignette on here. I vignette all of my images, right? And that's just a little preset that I have made for adjusting the vignette. Okay, so that's kind of what I had in mind. Okay. I might revisit the green. Gone a little too far. There we go. Something like that. Right? And if I want more contrast, S curve. Okay, now keep in mind when you're making an S curve, you can make a wide S curve like this, so top and bottom, right, which affects the colors or the tones that are at either end of the histogram, or you can make an S curve in the middle. Okay, so if I want mid-tone contrast, I can make my S curve right here, okay, and then put two other points to bring this line back to straight here and back to straight here. Okay, so see what I'm doing? I've got straight, straight. Oops. I just want to grab that one. So the contrast is only between there and there, what I've added. Okay, I've just added contrast in this area. Okay, so I've really targeted my contrast. So this is why I use curves and these sliders as opposed to the contrast slider. Okay. Let's see how we're doing. Yes, we use curves. I use curves a lot. Okay. Quick question, and I know there's a 10 or 15 second delay here, so I know Bernie is enjoying this. Tell me one thing in the chat that you have picked up today that will help you with your black and white, okay? So Todd said you were wanting to do more black and white. What did you pick up today? And I'm going to keep going. You tell me in the chat, or if you're watching this as a video replay on YouTube later, tell me in the comment area below, have you picked up anything as to how you will improve your black and white? What tips did you get so far? Okay, I'm not done yet, right? I want to come down here and look at a couple of additional ones. I wanted to look at, again, where is color part of the story? This one is kind of debatable. So this is a street photo I did in New York City. We were on a street walk with James Mayer. Oh, there's James. there's James right there. James is a New York photographer, and we did a few photo walks together in New York. He's fantastic. And I saw this guy washing the street, and I really just wanted to focus on his feet. But this pylon is kind of interesting, right? So I could decide, okay, is the pylon... This is the photographer's discretion now, okay? So is the pylon part of the story, or is it distracting? Okay, if it's distracting, I want to minimize it. Okay, how can I do that? Well, perhaps black and white. Okay, so if I go black and white, look what happens. I mean, the pylon literally disappears. Okay, now I could come in here. Okay, so it's done an auto mix. Okay, I can reset this and apply it myself. So I can lighten if I don't want to darken him too much. But if I want to kind of get it so that The pylon is minimized, but he still stands out, okay? Blue kind of brings him out a little bit more, as well as what he's doing here, these highlights, okay? So I'm looking for highlights. Let's bring up the green and the aqua, because I want to brighten this hose. I want to really make it clear what he's doing, okay? Yellow helps him stand out a bit more, so we could go either way. Let's go darker with yellow. Okay, again, I can't darken just one thing here. So I'm going to do kind of a basic adjustment here, and then I'm going to add a dark vignette like so. And then what I would probably do again is come back and check my blacks and my whites. Like so. And do a mask on him. So I'm going to see, does it pick up him as a subject? Indeed it does. So I want to just give him a little bit more highlights. Okay. Keep in mind when you brighten something, I've lost the shadows. Okay. So I always come back and add black. So when I'm brightening something, I'm usually doing 3 sliders. So I usually do black, white, and exposure. Okay. So I'm not just brightening, because I want to keep contrast. There we go. I could also try and pick up some contrast here. I want to kind of pick up the water a little bit more. So I'm just going to do a quick radial gradient here and just add some contrast here to really highlight what he's doing. Okay. So it does work well in black and white. Okay. It also minimizes the people in the background. Okay. If you want to do both black and white and color, just make a virtual copy. Okay. So I'll do that of these guys. Okay. So again, New York City, saw these guys doing some work. Okay. I'm just going to update my process version here. Okay. So I made a virtual copy. Now let's make them black and white. Okay, so again, you really want to focus on tones here and bringing out faces. Okay, so this is where we have this orange slider that we don't have in Luminar. See, look at the skin tone, orange. Okay, so everybody is a little bit of orange in their skin tone. Okay, be careful about red because it darkens lips. Can you see what happens when I do red? Okay. He either has white lips or looks like he's wearing lipstick. So be careful of red, okay? Now, what color is his shirt? Do we remember? Blue. Hat, yellow. Okay, so we can use the targeted tool if I want to darken his hat. Maybe just a little bit. Do I want to darken his shirt? Okay, it's also darkening the wheelbarrow. Let's see what else. So I do these before and afters so that I can see the colors all the time, right? Maybe I want to go blue the other way, actually. No, let's go this way. Okay, so it gives more contrast. Probably a bit more orange. And I'm changing my mind on the yellow. There we go. Okay, so before and after. Look at how it minimized this sort of neon blue sign in the background. It's completely gone. Okay. There's color and black and white. Okay. Now you can export both. Now let's say I want to apply the same thing to another image. Okay, this is a neat thing that's now new in Lightroom is when you bring up this copy. So I did Command C, okay? So I'm going to try not to sneeze here. When you bring this up, there's a new subset pull down menu here. So when you click on modified, it only checks off the things that have been applied to this image. Okay, so it gives me a starting point of what do I want to copy and paste. So in this one, I don't want to adjust any of the basic stuff. So I'm going to turn that off. And I just want the black and white mix. And did I do a curve on this one? No, I did not. Okay, so that's literally all that I'm doing. So I need the treatment, which is black and white mix. Okay. I'm also got the post-crop vignette. Okay, so I'm copying those things, and then I'm going to paste it. So I'm doing Command V on here. Okay, so you see what happened? So it pasted black and white and the settings that I had here. Okay, now notice the car is blue and it went quite dark. Okay, so I can adjust it if I want to brighten the car. Okay, and let's see what else. Darken this wall. Okay, look at the oranges. So that's darkening the buildings. That provides a lot more contrast. Okay, so give me a really good starting point with this image. Okay, so if you have similar ones, you can copy and paste. You can also save it as a black and white preset. Questions? Joanna says, very interesting. I learned a lot, especially for me to look ahead in black and white and which photo is suitable to convert. Yes, awesome. Let's see what else. Oh, we've got lots of good lessons here. Okay. Todd says, use of the color sliders to narrow in on what and where to zero in for contrast. Awesome. David says to consider the contrast. Use of curves to provide a lot of possibilities for adjustments. It's Captain Stan. Take care of the contrast, Marguerite says, before turning an image into black and white. Jim says, think black and white slider. Think black and white and the sliders to control contrast. Awesome. Neil said, using the color sliders to adjust the light and the dark tones. Awesome. Nigel said, adjusting before converting to black and white. I'm glad that's so helpful for everybody. Sheila said, I never would have thought of selecting the leaves and the grass. I liked how you made the S-curve inside the curves panel. That was very useful. You're welcome, Sheila. Serge says, I love the bitone. So the duotone, so two colors, Serge. That was new to me. You're welcome. Or tritone even. Why, thank you. Johan, very interesting. Learned a lot. Oh, yes, I just did that one. Steen said, a great help from color to black and white. Never thought of using color so much after conversion. Right? Yeah, it's a huge thing that you want to consider. This one here that I converted to black and white, right? So it's a nighttime image. Oops, I went the wrong way. Nighttime image, so it's blue hour in Las Vegas. Everybody goes to the Bellagio to see the water, fountain. And I've seen it and photographed it, a million times. So I did something a little different here and I got everybody in the foreground silhouetted. And then I thought, well, maybe I can convert this one to black and white, right? So if you want to keep that contrast, absolutely, right? Look at how dramatic that is, right? So it literally comes down to tones. For me, it was all about the silhouette and the color is kind of secondary, right? Joanna says it would be nice to have a tool in Luminar to select what to copy and paste, like in Lightroom. Maybe a good item for the wish list. Well, as a matter of fact, I've actually said that to them and I've given them my feedback as well. I actually have a form that I'm going to be sending out to those of you who are on my email list. So if you're on my email list, I'm going to be sending this out again. I sent it a while back, and that is a questionnaire that you can fill out as to what you want Luminar Neo to do that it doesn't do. So a feature request list, as it were. Right, so I'll be sending that out by email. So if you're not on my email list, Rob, can you please give them a link maybe to our freebies page on our website? Sign up for our email list, and then you'll make sure you will get notices of things like this when I'm going live. You'll get notices of surveys and questionnaires, and you'll get our newsletters. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Other questions. What other questions do you guys have about black and white? Let's do a portrait. Okay, so this one I did some work on. using the light depth tool because the background behind them was quite bright. Okay, so I did portrait bokeh and I did light depth on this one. Right, I think I did some basic adjustments. No, I didn't. Okay, I'm just going to convert this one to black and white. So let's just see how this one looks in black and white. Okay, like I said, I love black and white portraits. Okay, but the first thing you notice is that it's a little bit flat. Okay, so flat to means lacking contrast. So when you hear the term flat, it's there's lack of contrast, especially on their faces. It's very monotone. Okay, so I'm going to try yellow, and they do have some yellow in their skin, but you see the challenge. There's no um orange. Okay, so there's no orange like there is in Lightroom, right? So we have to brighten them another way. Remember, be careful of red because their lips, right, turn too light. You don't want them to have light colored lips. Okay, and I did add blue to the background when I used the other tools, so I can use this to darken the background a little bit. Right, so there's our before and after. And again, I'm still going to go and do probably a curves adjustment in here, okay? Because they need to be brightened and they need some more contrast, okay? Actually, let me just do the clipping warnings, okay? So there's nothing clipping, okay? So what I do first is I bring in the left side until I start to get some black clipping, okay? See that? So immediately that gives me more contrast, okay? Look at the difference just by the black slider, okay? Then I'm going to bring the white slider in until I get some clipping, okay? So I've got a highlight on the floor and on his shoulder, and I'm actually okay with that. I'm going to actually leave it clipping a little bit. I could always lower the highlights, but I like bringing this in to create more contrast, okay? And then I want that same mid-tone contrast again. So I'm going to go here and make so the blacks don't go too dark and my highlights don't go over the top. Okay, so there is a develop adjustment. Okay, so that's just curves and the highlight slider. That's it. Right, can you see the difference? Huge, right? Big difference. I love the vignette tool in Luminar because it allows us to move the vignette around that you can't do in Lightroom. Okay, so my technique for vignette is to darken it super dark and take the feather to -100, then position it. Okay, so I want to position it around them. Okay, so it's a little bit off center like that. Then bring the feather back up. Okay. So now I've got this lovely vignette and a lovely black and white portrait. Okay. Why not start with black and white presets and go from there? Do you mean inside of Luminar or Lightroom, Sarge? I can certainly do that if you want. Let's do that. Okay, so let me just show you this one, okay? So this image has been edited already, okay? So I've done quite a bit of work to it. I think it's not giving me a before and after. I think I did. Yes, I did. What have I done? What have I done? Yeah, I have done quite a bit. Okay, give it a second to catch up here. I'm looking for a before and after, and it's not giving me a before and after. Come on. There we go. Okay, so that's the original image, and that's what I've got now. So I've done quite a bit of work on this one, okay? I am going to make a virtual copy because I don't want to lose my work on this, okay? So I'm going to make a virtual copy, and the virtual copy should still have the edits. It takes a minute to load sometimes, okay? And I'm going to go and look for some black and white presets. Well, here's one right here, okay? So here's a monochrome. This is taking forever. There we go. Okay, so here's some monochrome presets, and let's just see what happens when these load. You can do a black and white preset in Lightroom is going to be different again because you can select what things you override with the preset. Okay. Look what happens. Okay. All the work that I've done gets lost. Okay. Yeek. Okay. So far I'm not seeing anything in there. I actually created some black and white presets myself that I'm working on here. Right. These are ones that I'm working on for Luminar Neo. Still playing around here. Okay. When you use a preset in Luminar Neo, it overwrites everything else that you've done. Okay. So if you've done any previous editing, it goes away. Okay. Okay. So let me just show you the edits on here. Okay. So edits, we've got, I did develop raw. I did some face editing. I did studio light to add some light to their faces. Portrait bokeh to blur the background. Erased a few things. Added a vignette, a glow, and a couple of versions of color harmony. Okay. If I go to apply any preset, okay, it changes it. Okay. Notice the order of things are different. Okay. Portrait bokeh is there, but it's not the same. So it changed everything. Right. I can undo a preset, but you can't just do black and white only as a preset, right? I can't say just give me a black and white conversion, right? Right, these are black and white too, it looks like, right? So you can find one, right? But it overwrites everything. And I did quite a lot of work on the background to minimize it, okay? So if you're going to use a preset, do it first, okay? Find one that you like, okay? So let's say I like this one. And then I would go all the way back in my edits panel. So this is like your history, okay? I hope they rename this history. And I would go back to develop, and I would probably go to the black and white conversion as well, okay? And alter it because I want his top brighter and I want hers darker. Okay. See, they're just not standing out, right? They're just not standing out at all. Big difference. So if I want to make these guys black and white, I would do my editing first and then go black and white. So to answer your question, sirs, that was kind of a long, drawn out answer to that one, is why not start with black and white first? Because I have more control over the tones of how the colors convert when I do the basic editing first. Yeah, see, I'm not crazy about this one in black and white at all, right? There we go. That's a little better. That's better. Okay. So I have a lot more control because I'd already blurred and controlled the background before I did the black and white conversion. Okay. But I like this. I mean, this one is a color image. For me, this one is all about the color. Okay. So I wouldn't necessarily convert this one to black and white. Right. Street photos like this. Absolutely. These would be great in black and white. Okay. I've even added a grunge overlay on this one. Absolutely black and white. So even though it's got, oh, this is a PSD. Okay. So I added a, I think I did color transfer on this one. So let me just undo that. Okay. So if we go black and white, okay, so look what happens. Okay, so the tones on the man, right? His red shirt and his pants are almost the same color, but his face is kind of lost. And again, we don't have that yellow, right? So, or we don't have that orange slider, so he kind of gets lost a little bit. So again, before I do anything with black and white, I'm going to go and brighten him. Okay, so I would probably do a develop. Oh, what am I doing? Why has that got settings on here already? That's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, it's develop raw. I got to apply something else. Aha. Okay, so here is actually it's a lesson for you. If you want to apply develop with a mask, okay, I've only applied develop raw on here and nothing else. So I have done develop raw, okay. If I want to mask it and do develop a second time, I have to apply something else. Basically, you kind of lock in the develop. Okay, now it becomes develop. So there's develop raw on your raw file. Once you apply something else on top, okay, now I have enhanced AI on top, then you get develop. Okay, so I want to mask to the man because I want to specifically brighten him. Okay, I just want some separation between the two. Okay, so I'm going to mask. I'm going to try mask AI. It should pick up human. Human. It's not showing me. It's not showing me what it's masking. Come on. Why is my mask overlay not showing? It should show me a mask overlay. I broke Luminar. I broke it. Let me just reset this. Okay. I'm going to do object select instead, and I'm just going to... It does not want to work for me. Okay, I'm just going to subtract him, and then I'll invert the mask. Okay. So I'm brightening him, and it's not the best selection, but I'm getting close. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm brightening him. Again, it's not perfect. But then when I go to black and white, right, he's a little brighter. Still not crazy about it. I probably have to do another mask on him, okay? Or decide that this is not the best image to go black and white because he kind of disappears. Okay, so that ultimately might be my result. Right? When we come back to the color version, we go back to these, like it's blue, red, and yellow, which are the primary colors. So it kind of plays in together. Okay, so ultimately I may decide this is not a good candidate for black and white. Okay. Likewise, this one, I don't know if this one will work in black and white as well because it's also fairly kind of monotone. Okay, there's not a lot of contrast here. I've applied light depth, which is an amazing, the new tool that they just added with the fall update in Luminar Neo, right? How many of you have Luminar Neo? If you do not have the light depth tool, it probably means you need to buy the upgrade pass, which means that you just need to go and pay for the year upgrade, which means I think they called it the fall upgrade, but now it's the spring upgrade. Upgrade is different than update. So updates for a year means, or updates unlimited means they give you bug fixes and performance enhances for free. But upgrades means you get new tools. Okay, so if you buy the upgrade pass, you will get light depth and restoration and the new tools. Can you please share the video I did on the light depth? I think I did a video on this tool, didn't I, Rob? I think so. I think I did. Maybe I'm making stuff up. Yeah, I did. Share a link to the light depth tool. Actually, I've got it here. Let me just put it in the chat. So I did a video on this tool already. And honestly, if you don't have the upgrade, it's worth the money just for this tool, right? See what it's doing? I've added just like this beam of light on him, but it's also affecting the corner and darkening the background. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's worth the money. If you do need to upgrade, use our discount code DPM10. I'll put it in the chat. We'll give you another 10% off Luminar if you need to upgrade or if you need to buy Luminar. But let's talk about black and white for this one. Okay, so black and white, convert to black and white, right? And it's actually not bad. Like he's got a bit of contrast, but look at how monotone everything is, right? So we need to add some contrast. Let's start with darkening the blue, right? Which does a nice job over here and on the sky, Okay, so I'm constantly sort of referencing. Okay, cyan and green, maybe. No green. Yellow is going to affect that bright highlight, so I'm not crazy about that. Let's actually darken the yellow. Again, this one may not be the best candidate because these tones, when converted, are all very similar. Okay, I could try a curve and see if that will help, but I honestly am not hopeful. Okay, I might put the curve higher up. That's better, right? But it's affecting him too much. Okay, so what I might do here is mask this one. Just over to, I could paint it in where I want it, actually. Let's do a linear gradient. Oops, come on, there we go. I only want it on this half of the image, right? And then we'll just fade it out. So I don't want it affecting him. So it's adding that contrast a bit over there. Playing with my curve a little bit. That's better. Okay, so we really have to get specific. But do you see what that's doing here? My concern is flat buildings, adding some contrast. Okay. Let's see, where are we? Sorry, I just have to come off camera for a second. My nose is running, so I don't need you don't need to see my nose running. Questions. Let's see how we're doing there. No other questions. Okay. Where's my camera? There we go. All right. So I think that's everything that I wanted to cover today. Is there anything else that I haven't covered that you'd like to see? So basically my tips again for you are, let me come back here. My tips again for you are, think about black and white when you're photographing, okay? I'll show you a few that I did in color and black and white. You can see, we'll take a vote and see which one you like better. Think about black and white when you're photographing. Think about contrast. Look for contrast and textures. So black and white works well with those things, right? And ask yourself, is color part of the story here? Okay. If color is not part of the story, right, then the next question to ask is the color actually distracting from the story? Okay. If it is, then you know you're going black and white. Okay. Let me come back here. So a couple more that I just wanted to show you that I went into. These are color images that I decided to do in both. So I've done these in color and black and white. Okay. Which one do you like? Same thing with this guy. Okay, so characters, right? Ton of character. And I love, the texture of his beard and his face and his eyebrows. And he really wasn't that grumpy. He was a nice gentleman, right? But which one do you like better? So let's take a look at those four. I could do another conversion here. Actually, there's another one. Okay, so we could do this one. I'll do a quick conversion on this one. Actually, I think I'd already done a conversion on this one, and I undid it. No. There we go. Yep, I did. There we go. Okay, so now I've got a black and white and a color. And I could get this one. Oh, I did this one too. This is another one. So when you have another reason to go black and white is if you have odd lighting, okay? If you have odd lighting situations where the light is green or a funky color, you can go black and white to get rid of that. Okay. So it's kind of an old school thing. It's like, oh, color's terrible, go black and white. So it's kind of a fix. All right. So let's do a comparison of a few things here. Let's look at these ones. Okay, let's look at these. Did I get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing something. Oh, I'm missing the other one of the guy. There we go. Okay, so there are... Unfortunately, it goes to there. Okay, there are 5 different ones, okay, showing black and white and color, okay? Do you prefer any of these in color? If so, which one? Tell me in the chat, which do you prefer, okay? I kind of like the man with a cigar in color. I like the green wall. It stays. So the other thing too is colors. Warm colors project and cool colors recede. So what that means is warm colors are ones like yellow, orange, and red. So when you have yellow, orange, and red, look at the images in color that have those tones in them. They project out. They stand out. They're like screaming at you. Okay, so the yellow of this man's turban, the yellow of this man's regalia, okay, they stand out. Okay, versus the green, this mint green of the wall recedes, or it doesn't project, meaning it's not bothersome, it's not distracting. Okay, so is the yellow turban taking away too much from his face, right? How about the red one here? Now this one I lowered the color saturation on, so it's not as vibrant, okay, because I wanted it to have like an old world feel with lots of texture. Marguerite says, is it cheating? Is it cheating to go black and white to correct fringing? Nope. Knock yourself out. But there's another way you can fix that, Marguerite. Let me show you a trick after we vote on these ones here, because I did that on the image of the Pantheon. I had a fringe on that one, and I did a correction on it. So let me show you that. Number 5. So number 5, this one. Oh, the 5th image. So number 5 you like in color, Marlene. This one here, this older fellow. And 2 and 4 you like. So Alan, you like this one and this one. Okay. I definitely like the portrait, number 1 in black and white. The studio portrait. I definitely like the powwow image in black and white, just because and that's the thing, like powwow is so colorful, it can take away, but I love the lighting on his face there, and I didn't love the color of the light, and I wanted it to be about him more than his regalia, so I think the black and white worked well there. Okay, this one I'm torn. I like both versions, and this one I think I like the color as well. Okay, Todd, I prefer to keep the man in the yellow turban and color. His face is more vibrant that way. Also, the woman, I think I would like better in a sepia tone. Okay, we could try that for sure. Sorry, which one, Nigel? I mean, we've got 2 different Indian guys in turbans. So which of the fellows from India? I like this one. Yeah, this one in color. Okay, so we could definitely try her in sepia tone. 2 and 5 in color for Neo. So this one and this one. Okay. 1, 3, and 4. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I would agree with that. And that kind of, I actually published this one in color and in black and white on my gallery originally, and I couldn't decide, right? So let's do what Marguerite suggested. Let me find that one of her. Where'd she go? And I'll show you the trick for I'll show you the trick for the fringe as well. Okay. I love the black and white glamour portrait and the man smoking. 1 and 4. Okay. All right. So sepia tone on this one. So color grading. Let's get an orangey, and you just want a little bit of warm. It definitely warms her up, right? That's like that chocolate brown, right? Definitely warms her up. So yeah, I agree with that. The reason I left it straight black and white was I was kind of going for that old world Hollywood feel, and most of them were clean black and white, but I think it works well in both, right? As for the question about getting rid of the fringe, okay, so Marguerite's question. Let me find my image of, okay, so on this one here, there actually is quite a bit of fringe, right? Oh, I need to reset my settings because let me just show you what I've done here, right? When you make a virtual copy, you don't get the whole history of your image coming across. So if you want to see the full, actual, true before and after, just do a reset and then right click and copy history step to the before, right? And then just go back one step, okay? So basically what I've done is I've taken the reset settings, and now when I do the before and after, I get the full before and after, okay? What I did here, you can see that there's a mask. Okay, so in terms of correction, I did lens correction. Okay, and I did apply the profile, and because this is a Fuji film camera, it has the profiles built in. Okay, the lens profile. I did do some defringe. Okay, because if I turn this off, let me zoom in here. Okay, I did do chromatic aberration. I'm gonna turn the masks off too. Where are we? I think it was this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. So on this one, see what I'm doing here? There's definitely a purple fringe. Okay. So it got some of it. This is not giving me the exact true before and after that I'm looking for here. Right. It got some of it. And then what I did was I used a mask on this area. Okay. No, that's not the one. That's the one. No, that's not either. What the heck? What did I do? What did I do? There's one where I corrected it and I can't find it. No, that's over there. I think it's this one. So what I did was I added a glow here, I think. Yeah, I lowered the clarity. So I lowered the clarity. But the other thing you can also do in here, right, if I still see this purple, right, I could go and do either a color. I'm just thinking it through. You can use the point color tool. Okay, so do a selection on the area where you have the fringe and use the point color tool. Okay, so let's get that sort of purple color. Okay, and then literally just desaturate it. Okay, so that, see that purple? Gone. There we go. Okay, now I've got a sort of a teal color here. I could get rid of that one as well. Okay, so I could add a second point color in here. Get rid of that color as well. Okay, so I would do a point color, mask it, and do a point color, Marguerite. I thought I had done that on this one, but apparently not. But that's what I would do to get rid of your fringe. Okay. And if it's on the whole image, you can select the whole image. Okay. You can select the whole image with the mask. Like if you've got the fringe everywhere, the way you can do that is to add a mask. And here's a little trick, right? Do a linear gradient and then just literally select the whole image. You can actually have it go off the end of the image like this. Okay, see that? So a linear gradient off the end, right? Then I could do point color and select it. So that's literally, I'm selecting the whole image. Okay. So just another little trick. I have lots of tricks. All right, let's see. I think we're going to wrap it up here. The powwow one. Yeah, we don't use that term in Canada, Nigel. That's an Indigenous man. So the other two fellows from India are Indian men, and the one from Canada, the powwow, is Indigenous. Can you do sepia the same way in Luminar? Yes, I showed that. let me go back over here. So if we want to do this one, for example, okay, if we want to do sepia, you're going to use the toning tool, okay? So toning. So we just add a saturation and then pick the color. Okay, so somewhere in the yellow range. Okay. And honestly, sometimes, like this one to me doesn't look very good in sepia. The other thing is that if you keep, oops, I'm on the highlights, that's why. Aha, that's why I don't like it. So this is a perfect example, actually. That's better. Okay, so if you want to have the same tone in the highlights and the shadows, for example, like this, sepia, just make note of the hue number. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to dial it back to, let's go with 55. Okay, so I've added the hue of 55 to the shadows, which gives us that nice sort of warm black. If we want it in the highlights, okay, we just need to go to the same number. So I'm going to get 55. But as I saw a minute ago, as I showed you a minute ago, when you add color like this to your highlights, I like to keep my sepia tone only in the shadows. Okay, so I don't add it to the highlights because I like to keep it cleaner. But if you're going to do it, I would say just keep it softer, keep it lower, and don't go so far. Because I find that yellow, highlights, I don't care for it as much. This is not the best image for this conversion. Let me try another conversion here. Let's just use this one. Okay. This one is already brown. Why is this brown? Oh, because I did toning. Let's do this one. Okay, so come back to our toning that we did on this one. Okay, so I did brown in the shadows, right? An orange hue. So we already did that on this one. Now, let's take note. Okay, the hue is 50. Add it to highlights. Let's get 50 on the highlight side. Okay. Can you see the difference? Okay. It's just kind of, for me, it makes the highlights muddy. Right. Watch the highlights. Okay. There's clean white highlights versus yellow. This is a more true sepia. Okay. But I tend to keep the highlights whiter. I like more chocolate brown as opposed to true sepia. But that's my preference. You might like it in the highlights and have more like this. That actually works too. Okay. So that's how you do a sepia in Luminar, is with the toning tool. The other way that you can do it, I'm just going to dial this down, is actually with the mood tool, which adds a LUT. Okay. So you can get LUTs that are sepia tone as well. I actually have quite a few. So I can't remember where I got this one, probably through X membership or the, in the Skyline Marketplace. They have LUTs available, so you can apply a LUT, which gives you different looks as well. The advantage, though, of doing it with the mood tool is you can shift it. Well, that one looks kind of nice, actually. That's kind of nice. You'll also notice that I increased the amount before I went to apply a LUT, because then I can really see what it's doing. Okay, so this one's very brown, right? I actually kind of like that one. It's not bad. Right, so the advantage of doing it the other way, though, is you can always change it. This gives you a sepia and you're stuck with it. But there's some nice ones that you can get there. Look, it's giving us a matte look. Okay, so watch what happens. Right, the histogram changed. See that? Watch the histogram. See, it's giving us a matte black look. So this is doing a 2-for-1. Right, so if you want matte black and you like that, there's a LUT that does it for you. Okay. There you go. So a couple of different ways that you can apply it. You cannot apply a LUT in Lightroom. If you want to use a LUT, you have to go to Photoshop, and it doesn't do a preview. So yes. BML Jenny says, the place I use of black and white the most often is concert photos with garish lighting that I couldn't correct. Yes. Absolutely. And concert photos look great in black and white, right? In regards to correcting Marguerite's fringe, yes, the point color tool is very multi-purpose. You like the Power Dancer in black and white? Me too. Take care, Marlene. Good to have you. Middle of the Pacific Ocean. Hey, Stephanie. Where are you? What are you doing in the middle of the ocean? No, she's in the Pacific Ocean, Rob. The Caribbean is in the Atlantic last time I checked. Sometimes get a stubborn cyan fringe on tree branches against the sky. Yes, that's a common one for sure. Cayman, Trinidad, and Tobago. Yes. Karen, is Karen in the house? Okay, I think we are good. Let me just come back here. So I hope you got lots out of today based on the comments. I believe that you did. So please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And if you want more learning on our Luminar Neo course, we have a full course available and I teach all of these tools. I've just updated it for 2025 and all the new tools that just came out have been added as well to the course. So the light depth tool and the restoration tool have just been added. As well, our Lightroom course is in the process of being updated, and there's lots of new things in Lightroom Classic too. Okay, we have available for you if you want to get keyboard shortcuts. Can you put in the chat, please, Rob, links to the keyboard shortcuts for Lightroom Classic and Luminar Neo. So if you'd like to pick up our keyboard shortcut cheat sheet, you can download it, print it, and have it as a reference for you for both Lightroom and Luminar. So we have those available. And if you're in the course, you probably already got those. All right. Phew. Stephanie, on a cruise ship, just left Hawaii on our way to Mexico. Exciting. Well, enjoy, Stephanie. That sounds amazing. You're welcome, Dave. You're welcome, Sheila. Awesome, Stan. Thanks for watching. Good to see you, Todd. Hope to see you in the community. We've got some things coming up. I will see you on Tuesday, Neil. Yes, I will. I have you on my calendar. Check out the replay. Black and white conversion is sometimes a challenge for me. Awesome. Well, it's there for you when you get back, but go enjoy your cruise. Have a Mai Tai for me or whatever your pleasure. Coffee. Ooh, get a Kona coffee. Hawaiian Kona coffee. There you go. Steen, you're welcome. Steph, David, Joanna. The Luminar course is miraculously good. I'm learning so much already. The last week and also your videos. Thanks, darling. Awesome. You entered the challenge. Excellent, Todd. Awesome. You're on it. Hey, Steph. Having the cocktail. Awesome. Stephanie's on it. She's on it, Rob. So I will be back next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, so 4 hours after we started today. That might leave our Europeans out. It's a bit late for you if you're in Europe, but it's going to pick up our Australian friends because it's a better time zone and time slot for them. So next week, 4 hours later, and we're going to be doing layers. So specifically, mostly with Luminar, but I'll also do some layers in Photoshop if we have some people attending that want to see Photoshop demonstrated as well, right? And that also plays into Lightroom, Photoshop, Luminar workflow as a plugin. So I'll see you next week. Again, remember to favorite this video, thumbs up, and share it. Share it, share it, share it, share it. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.